These are the best Nen abilities in Hunter x Hunter, which we've discovered according to the greatest scientific measure on the planet, a YouTube community post. Nov's Hide and Seek is the obvious winner. I mean, say what you want about the methodology of this is a very good start. The insane utility of this Hatsu cannot be overstated. Unless you say that he can create 22 rooms, that would be overstating it, because Nov can only create 21 magical pocket dimension rooms. But the key thing about this ability is that it's essentially teleportation as well. And one thing I've always wondered is if Nov has a limit on this. As far as we know, he could place a portal on 2 different continents, enter his mansion through one, and then in a matter of seconds, use another exit to appear on the other side of the world. It really is a shame he's not going to the Dark Continent, because his ability would have made fleeing back to the human realm much easier. And then you have the ridiculous power that is Scream, where Nov can open a portal between his hands and close it on anything, which is a genuinely Meruem killing maneuver if you could ever get close enough to pull it off. Hide and Seek also says a lot about Nov himself. It's very well reasoned and very logical, but it also allows you to run away. It's very much the ultimate ability during nightmares when you've got something chasing after you, something Nov lived in reality after being exposed to a very sinister N. And the Hunter x Hunter Mabaga card game is a little bit sad when it comes to Nov, because he goes from a very well put together gent to a silver fox to a complete and utter mental breakdown, and ultimately finishing as a dude hiding in a bush. Also, Nov's name is almost certainly based on the word knob, as in doorknob, so that's fun. Bisky's cookie massage. The sleep, the relaxation, the extra time would be godly. I spoke about this a lot in the Transmuter tier list video, but this power is simply broken. Magical Spa Services essentially eliminates the human need to sleep, instead replacing it with a 30-minute massage every day. And it's not just sleep, it's the elimination of fatigue. In fact, there may come a point in your life with this ability that you can't even identify with the concept of fatigue anymore. In addition to all of the long-term health benefits that being massaged by a cartoon woman allegedly provides. Apparently they are numerous. Also, this video is sponsored by Loot Boy, who we've partnered with to create a special Grand Line Review Premium Pack full of awesome One Piece prizes. Everyone can download Loot Boy for free. It's available on Android, iOS, App Gallery, or even PC. And then you can collect delicious coins to open free packs. However, there are also amazing premium packs, and you can open them in one of 2 ways. The first way is your classic real money, your dollars, your pounds, your euros, the general fiat currency. But there's also diamonds, which allow you to open premium packs for free. And what we're going to do is open a bunch of Grand Line Review Premium packs, and bam! That right there is 1 month of free Crunchyroll Premium. Plus, I got a whole ton of other cool stuff, including full PC games. However, within the Grand Line Review Premium packs, you can also crack up to 12 months of Crunchyroll for free, the new One Piece Odyssey game, and the first 4 manga box sets that cover everything from East Blue all the way to the Reverie. Plus, with Loot Boy's free new Chat Radar feature, you'll find new friends and new gaming teammates in easy and fun ways, because Chat Radar automatically matches you to other gamers who share your interests and tastes in gaming, thus doing all of the hard work and you doing all of the not that. And for each pack opened, a diamond is added to the jackpot, the entirety of which is awarded to 1 lucky player each week. You can check out the link to Loot Boy in the video description, and using code New World Review within the app gives you a community pack with diamonds, loot coins, and much more. So do that thing, but for now it's back to you, me. So if we're talking about this versus Hide and Seek, then I would honestly go with Magical Spa Services. It's not the craziest, it's not the coolest or most utility pack skill, but it's the one that would revolutionize your life the most, primarily by giving you more of it. You get to live more out of every day, and your health is kind of curated to make you exist as long as possible. Plus, it also gives you a pretty easy career. Someone with this ability could make stupid quantities of cash money, selling their skills to pay their various bills. And the best part is that maybe you could even use it to help Togashi's back and get us some faster chapters. Whatever Jing has, it's probably OP. I see you also like to live dangerously. This is quite fun because this comment is like going to the Nen Casino and just betting everything on red. Whatever that guy has, I'll take it. And now go and watch Jing have an absolutely terrible ability for anyone that isn't him. I'm surprised people haven't mentioned Cortopi's ability yet. I don't know if I am. So we're talking about Gallery Fake, which gives its user the ability to conjure an exact replica of an object that lasts for 24 hours. Notably, you can replicate living things, just minus the living part, so just things, I guess. I mean, for example, if you did do it with a person, then you would just create a temporary corpse. And it's pretty good for a situation where you say immediately want to double all of the money you currently have and spend that conjured cash on some sweet product of your choosing. I don't know, whatever you spend your money on. But you would be effectively spending nothing. In fact, you might even be able to loop this and conjure your conjured money and just keep it going. But also, maybe not. Because Kortobi can conjure conjured objects, but they lose any special powers attached to them. In this case, the special power would be Kortobi's special power, which is existence, so they would lose their existence. In general, I feel like this ability would lead to a lot more trouble than it was worth though, especially when people start realizing that all of their stuff is disappearing. But it does have a very underrated benefit, which is that Kortobi can track all of the objects he conjures. So it can act like a tracking bug with extra steps and for a very limited time period. And one way you need to actually find an object to copy first and just, look, it's interesting, but it's definitely not one of the best. Great Haiku, Basho. There are no drawbacks when using. It is independent of other circumstances to use. Presumably not very aura consuming. Limitless application. I personally consider this to be one of the top 5 best Nen abilities. And it's also a bit of a relic of early Nen. Back when the power system was still being formulated, we ended up with a lot of powers that were either just way too powerful or way too not that, like pathetically weak. But Great Haiku is an example of the former. The gist of this Hatsu is that anything you write down as a poem will come to life, but its quality depends on how good the poem is, which is a really cool restriction. Mostly because there's no objective way to judge how good a poem is, unless it's like really bad. And I think that's where the internal balance comes from. The judge in this case is probably Basho himself, who has this complete lack of confidence in his own work. He thinks what he writes is garbage, so his abilities emerge as garbage. I actually wonder if this ability could even exist with someone who thought that they were a great poet. I mean, it probably could, but the aura cost would be outrageous. Because think, if you're a narcissistic poet, then everything you write is the best thing ever, which means that you would always be conjuring the best thing ever, and conjuring the best thing ever requires a lot of aura. Sounds very intensive. In addition to being a written poet though, Basho is also a lyrical poet, having engaged in at least one rap battle against Ridge, a guard of Prince Luzurus, with my assumption there being that Basho more than likely lost, 1 due to his lack of self-confidence, and 2 because Ridge takes his rapping very, very seriously. Melioron! You wouldn't even really need his additional abilities, just the invisibility alone is so useful. So here's the often confusing thing. Melioron's invisibility isn't a Nen ability. It's a natural power that comes from the fusion of ant, chameleon, and human. So the dude can just whack on an invisibility cloak without even using a single drop of aura. But the true ability beyond that is Perfect Plan. This is a Hatsu that allows Melioron to conceal his existence entirely. He cannot be seen, heard, smelt, or even detected using N. But he can only do it whilst holding his breath, so it's pretty naturally limited. But it's a simple power with a simple cost, and really, who doesn't love invisibility? If you ask someone what superpower they'd want, the answers would generally be either flight, teleportation, or invisibility. So even breath-holding invisibility would manage to please 33.3% of the world. And again, the great thing is that this is about as plug and play as you can get with Nen. Straightforward power, straightforward conditions, and amazing results. Feel like a salesman, but it's hard to argue with such efficient simplicity. Morals is just so cool, and it has many possible uses. The most versatile one in Hunter x Hunter, probably. So we've just gone from simplicity to now overly complex. But I definitely can't think of a power that has more versatility than Moral's Deep Purple. Moral can effectively turn smoke into any object, any structure, or even living being with a limited range of functionality, which isn't restricted to smoky appearances either. Apparently, Moral can nigh on perfectly imitate the colors and texture of whatever he so desires, which provides Deep Purple with an inbuilt texture surprise. It's hard to think of something more desirable than the ability to have literally anything you need in any situation. So conceptually, putting this up against magical spa services is a bit of a tough choice. But what I think tips the scales in Bisky's favor is the fact that with Deep Purple, you need to carry around this massive, massive pipe, which would be a massive, massive pain to cart around, and you'd probably get some real weird looks everywhere you go, and probably be regularly stopped by the police. Because it's like, no, officer, you don't understand. I use this blunt weapon-looking thing to smoke bunnies into existence. I don't think that'll go very well. That aside, though, it's a very strong contender for best Nen ability. Castro's Nen ability, so I can punch myself. Fair enough. If I could have any ability in this series and I chose Castro's, then I would also want to punch myself. Owl, 100%. Never take more than one trip with groceries, never worry about parking, never worry about travel fees, renting a car, or keeping valuables safe. I was hoping someone would bring this up because the fun cloth always gets forgotten about, and why? It's so much fun. This incredibly underrated ability can shrink anyone and anything that ends up in the cloth, which was used against the Phantom Troop and even ended up capturing Nobunaga. Granted, that was because he had a bit of a bad spot in the car, but under the right circumstances, the Fun Fun Cloth one-shot a troop member, because Nobunaga himself couldn't do anything to get out of it. This ability was deemed to be so good that the troop even kept Al alive, so that Chrollo could steal the Fun Fun Cloth, which he attempted to use in his fight against the Zoldycks. I assume that he wanted to capture them in the cloth and then maybe use that somehow to steal their powers. Doesn't really matter because it didn't really work at all. In the end, Chrollo just conjured a cloth, held it out like a matador, probably said "Olé" in his head, and then deconjured it again. Just a bit of fun mid-battle. And surprisingly, the character of Al does appear in the Mumbaga card game, making this very deranged expression and doing what I'm told the world of nature would describe as presenting. But the Fun Fun Cloth is amazing. Al is terrible Al man, but an amazing Nen ability. Jajangken, obviously cause I can play rock, paper, scissors without any arms. You know, that's very true. Gon could still make a rock even without an arm. So if scissors, paper, rock was your priority in life, then this is 100% the way to go. I'm surprised nobody has thought to mention Alaka. As long as your wish isn't greedy, it doesn't screw anything over. I mean, it does. No matter what the wish is, it screws something over. But I think the reason why not many people mention it is because it's not actually a very good ability for the user. A lot of people confuse this, but Alaka can't actually wish for anything herself, or I suppose more accurately Nanika, because Nanika is the Dark Continent creature Eye, the codependence of desire, meaning that Nanika's power is entirely dependent on the desires of another. Other people make the wish, and you just facilitate the costs and the outcome. You're basically becoming a glorified Nen logistics service. And just like in the series, you'd either be seen as a danger to life as we know it and eliminated at once, or coveted as the ultimate weapon, or perhaps even both. It really just doesn't sound like a great life. And also, even if things do go well, you could end up being responsible for some of humanity's greatest atrocities, depending on the wish and depending on the cost. The very best case scenario would be turning you and your brother into a gimmick cafe drink, which is a thing that actually happened. And look, if that's the best we can hope for, then I think that we should just maybe pursue something else. 100 type Guanyin Bodhisattva. I have already renounced my old gods and begin my time of seclusion with punches and prayer. So a lot of people cite this as the best Nen ability, and I think they often confuse best with most powerful. Because yes, it is absolutely one of the most powerful, but definitely not quite one of the best. To make any decent use of it whatsoever, you need that superhuman prayer speed that took Netero God knows how many years of isolation to achieve. Without that, using it in a fight would probably even be detrimental. Always thinking of which hand to use and which of the 99 prayer motions you need to make. You do this one, you do this ones, you do these ones, which ones you do. There's a lot of them to learn. And by the time you've gone through all of that thought process, your opponent has likely already engulfed you in his Fun Fun Cloth, and it's a sad time for you. It would also take so much time and dedication to use this as well. And even when you get to that level of being able to use it, it still really only has one purpose, which is to engage in fight battling. So if you wanted to become a battle-hardened warrior, then sure. But for everyone else, Netero's alternate career path is a much better choice, which is apparently to become Santa. Because when you're an old man, you tend to only have two employment options. Either it's a grizzled martial arts master, or you become Santa. That's your choice. But when it comes down to it, the best ability is going to be either Bisky, Moral, or Nov. Bisky if you want to live the happiest and most fulfilling life possible, Moral if you value having anything at any time, and Nov if you like moving as little as possible.